At Nationals Park in Washington, D.C., it's opening day as the New York Mets play the Washington Nationals. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our nation's capital. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you as we begin our 10th season of Mets baseball on SNY. Very happy to have you with us. It's a season that dawns with great optimism for the New York Mets. After 6 straight losing seasons, they have reason to believe they can take a big step forward this year. They didn't make a lot of changes in the offseason. The one big one that they did was the addition of Michael Cuddyer, who comes over as a free agent. Cuddyer, who was a National League batting champion 2 years ago, missed a good portion of the season last year, but really serves to lengthen the Mets lineup as they hope for better offensive production this year. But the Mets will need more than that. They'll need for some other veterans as well to come back from subpar years.
Well, we said in spring training the Mets have a potential of 3 comeback players of the year, and we'll start with Cuddyer and David Wright. David Wright, of course, the perennial all-star, leads in almost all categories of Mets franchise history. Offensively, had the issues health-wise, his shoulder. He's taken care of it this offseason. For the Mets to thrive this year, he's the 3rd hitter in the lineup. Oh, he's hitting 2nd today. He's the captain of the team. The captain of the team is usually your best player on the field. He's the guy that's got to go out there and get the big hits. David's been a guy that's hit 30 home runs, 20 home runs, batted 300, driven in 100 runs. I'm not saying he has to hit 30 home runs, Gary, but he's got to be the guy to drive in the clutch runs, the guy the team looks to late in the ball game for him to make the big hits. And, of course, the other guy, Curtis Granderson, and I think Kevin Long coming over here as the batting coach. That was a great idea by Sandy Alderson. Curtis truly believes in Kevin Long, and he's had a terrific spring. Had 79 walks last year for Curtis, which was a lot. Showed a good patience at the plate. He's hitting leadoff tonight. He's had the great years in the American League, particularly with the Yankees. Had an off year last year. They need Curtis to come and bring back that old prowess that he showed at Yankee Stadium.
And then, of course, you've got the less experienced players in the lineup. Last year, Lucas Duda had a breakout season, hitting 30 home runs. Juan Lagares won a Gold Glove last year, but you can really see room for him to grow this year.
He's been the most improved player that I've seen. I've loved his spring training. He has taken to Kevin Long and his theories on hitting. He's showing a much more patience at the plate, not swinging at bad pitches. He led off a lot. I think he's ready to lead off. He's not leading off today, but defensively he's a plus. And I think Gary down the road, I mentioned it two years ago, that he can be a Tommy Agee type of player, hit better than Agee, but also be a 20-plus home run guy.
The strength of the Mets this year should be their starting pitching. Now, they lost Zach Wheeler to Tommy John surgery during spring training, but with the Rookie of the Year, Jacob deGrom, coming back, and the return of Matt Harvey, the Mets hope for big things.
You know, guys, when I went into spring training watching Matt Harvey, I said to myself, be conservative in your analysis. He's coming back from injury. Don't go over the moon. Well, I'm over the moon. I'm unfettered in my analysis. I think he might even be better than he was in 2013, showing a great changeup. But when you look at this staff, I think one of the strengths, Gary and Keith, is going to be their versatility. Colon going today with his dipsy doodle, Jonathan Neese from the left side, G being pushed by Montero, and deGrom looked like he didn't miss a beat after his Rookie of the Year.
Now, going into spring training, the bullpen looked like an area of strength, but with Josh Edgin going down with Tommy John surgery and a lot of guys not having very good springs, it's a little bit more muddled right now.
You know, Edgin was the big injury. It really was in spring training, and it really just threw that bullpen upside down. Now, remember, a lot of those guys in the bullpen have had coming off amazing years. Carlos Torres, Familia, Mejia, but they did not have great springs. So what they're trying to do, the Mets, with an 8-man bullpen, is strength in numbers. They're going to have 3 left-handers down there. It's up to Terry Collins to mix and match.
Well, the Mets will begin their quest for a better season against their best proving ground. It's a team that they went 4-15 against last year, the Washington Nationals, coming off a 96-win season. Now, the Nats in many quarters are being considered a World Series team this year, but they are less than whole going into the season. 3 of their starters are on the disabled list. Anthony Rendon, Jason Worth, and Denard Span all out of action for this opening series, and that puts some more pressure on the young guy in the number 3 hole.
Well, the young guy, Bryce Harper, great fanfare. He's been troubled with injuries. Is he ready to have a breakout season for the Nationals, hitting in that third spot? He's capable of 20-plus home runs, plays the game hard. Is he going to step forward? He needs to step forward. And I also think Ryan Zimmerman moving over to from third to first base, he's another guy that hasn't been able to stay on the uniform. With the loss of Adam LaRoche, he's got to stay healthy, and he's got to come back to form with the season he's had in the past.
As for the Nats pitching, it was the best in the National League last year, and it's only gotten better. And we get to see why on opening day with Max Scherzer going to the mound.
How about the beautiful audacity to turn down $150 million, bet on himself, and he turns it into $210. But since 2012, he's number one in wins and number one in strikeouts. Scherzer is the real deal.
As for the Mets, they will go with their most experienced starter on opening day. 7th career opening day start for Bartolo Colon.
You know, it's interesting. Not a lot of people happy with this choice, but Colon won 15 games for this Mets team last year, and the veteran got the call.
Nationals have taken the field before a sellout crowd at Nationals Park. Here's your Mets starting lineup, brought to you by Geico, and a bit of a surprise. David Wright hits number 2 in the order for the first time since 2010. Juan Lagares, who hit leadoff most of the spring, will hit in the 6th hole. A bit of a surprise in the batting order for Terry Collins on opening day.
And I just talked about him, Max Scherzer. See those starts, 18-5 last year. He is a perennial double figures winner. He's a guy that goes deep into the games. But imagine this, one complete game, one shutout, and they both came last year, and he turned it into $210 million.
And we'll take a look at your Nationals defense, brought to you by Coors Light. Michael Taylor with Denard Span on the disabled list will play in center field. Escobar was going to start at second base. Look who's playing at second base. Dan Uggla trying to make a comeback. Zimmerman, of course, back over to first base. And Wilson Ramos, who's been a Met killer, behind the plate.
Well, there is Scherzer, 30 years old, 91 wins, just 50 losses in his career, and signed a $210 million deal to become the ace of this national staff that already had itself a passel of aces. There is a lot of Nationals fever here in our nation's capital. People here feeling as though this is the year when they can finally achieve not just regular season but postseason success. They've had 2 bouts of postseason opportunity in the last 3 years, and they've gone out in the first round each time.
Isn't this interesting? On a year when you change rules for pace of game initiatives, right now Scherzer being held up before he throws the first pitch.
It's not us. Must be our friends at ESPN.
Oh, there we go.
There's the hand.
Talk to the hand.
So as a pitcher, Ronnie, you're in a new ball club. You're starting a home game.
I am so irritated right now.
I would think so.
Scherzer looking.
And the fans are starting to boo.
Would you want to throw a few more warm-up pitches or something just to keep the juices flowing?
You know, right now you are just boiling hot, and you can't even think straight because you've been waiting, all spring training to throw this first pitch, and it looks like the man with the hand put it down.
And so Scherzer is ready to go. Curtis Granderson steps in to lead off, and the 2015 season is underway, and Granderson takes a call strike. Curtis had himself a spectacular spring training. Hit .442, leading a Mets attack that was the best in Florida. Now the question is, can they bring it north with him? And Scherzer gets ahead 0-2.
But you'll see from Max Scherzer, he's got a fastball between 95, 93, 97 miles an hour. An unbelievable changeup, especially against the lefties. A little curveball and slider.
He added that curveball a couple of years ago, and it really enhanced his effectiveness against the lefties.
Against the lefties, and it's also getting ahead of hitters with that first pitch curveball.
1-2 to Granderson, and he takes the slider in the dirt. 2-2.
He is, I think, what I've seen so far, Scherzer, he's jacked up. He's like almost overthrown.
He's almost quick pitching Granderson so far.
55-15 the last 3 years with Detroit. And the count goes full to Granderson. But for Scherzer, his first ever opening day start, because it was always Justin Verlander starting opening day in Detroit. This year, it was David Price who shut out the Twins. 3-2. And it's bounced foul. I mean, what a
not too shabby.
A 3-year span.
Yeah. And strikeouts per innings pitched there, 9 innings, 732.
Granderson keeping the at-bat alive. So what do we think? Lagares had lead off most of the spring. We saw this a few times with Granderson first and right second, but Terry Collins opting to go with Granderson on the leadoff spot, saying before the game that it was in deference to the quality of this Nationals pitching staff. As Granderson draws the leadoff walk, and the Mets have their first base runner of the season.
Well, Curtis drew 79 walks last year, a career high, and really it's kind of moved himself right into that leadoff spot. Gary, in answer to your question, I'm trying to figure it out. I can't say that I like the idea of David Wright hitting second.
Listen, we don't have all the numbers here. I say when I saw the lineup, I was irritated. You asked the young guy in Lagares to spend all the spring training leading off, not swinging at pitches out of the dirt. He did all of that, and his reward is batting sixth.
So David Wright, making his 11th consecutive opening day start, hits second in the order for the first time since 2010. Only the 16th time in his career he's been in the number 2 hole. And Scherzer throws the fastball by him, 1-1.
That was thrown right by him. Scherzer's up right now. I just think he's just really jacked up here. First time in a new uniform, opening day start.
Walked only one batter in 20 innings this spring. Walks the first man he faces in the regular season. Granderson, not the base stealer he once was, only 8 last year. And a good slider by Scherzer gets him ahead 1-2.
Oh, Gary, that's a good point you made. His first opening day start. When it's your good slider, first opening day start, I don't care how long you've pitched, you're going to have those butterflies.
And then you had the little delay at the start, which probably amped him up even a little more. Well, he got ahead of Granderson, and he's ahead on right. And David pops one up. Should be playable for Zimmerman. The new first baseman has it for the first out.
And you notice the shadows behind Zimmerman on that pop-up. As this game progresses, the shadows are really close to the third base line already. It's going to be really difficult for the right fielder on fly balls, and the hitters are going to be hitting in the shadows real quick.
Ryan Zimmerman making the move across the diamond this year with Adam LaRoche leaving. He's now on the south side of Chicago, much to the Mets' delight.
Right.
Well, here's Lucas Duda, 30 home run season last year, and at age 29 hoping to at least duplicate that. News today that Duda's representatives and the Mets have broken off talks about a long-term deal that they were hoping to consummate before opening day, but they're not going to talk during the season.
And you see the shift there, Garrett, not playing deep in the outfield because of the double play situation. Good cut, Duda. He's up right now, Ronnie.
Yes,
he's overthrowing it.
Well, he's like a guy before he runs a 100-yard dash, or a boxer before he got in the ring. He just was chomping at the bit.
1 out and 1 on.
One thing I want to say about this Mets offense, though, when you're going up against this Nationals starting pitching, you're going to have to be on point on taking extra bases on balls that get away from the catcher. You're going to have to steal some bases because it's going to be very, very difficult to put 2, 3, and 4 hits together.
Look what the Cardinals did to Lester last night.
0-2 to Lucas.
Well, he's just throwing predominantly fastballs. The only guy he really mixed it up with was David Wright through David's sliders.
One of the things that's very deceiving about Scherzer, he's got a herky-jerky kind of motion to the plate. Sometimes hard to pick up that baseball.
And he's a guy who is consistently evolving. He added that curveball 2 years ago, working on a cutter this spring. I mean, how many pitches are too many quality pitches? And a throw down to first by Ramos, and Granderson gets back.
Interesting change up there in the dirt. The thing about Scherzer, very unusual. Right-handed pitcher pitches from the extreme right side of that rubber, close to the third base. You don't usually see that. That's for his angle for his changeup against the lefties. Great numbers.
And only 18 home runs allowed last year in 220 innings. And he strikes out Duda with the fastball. First strikeout for Scherzer, 2 down. 96 from Max Scherzer, hardest pitch he's thrown so far.
96 and belt high right down the middle, and beat him.
So 2 out, and now Michael Kadire makes his Mets debut. Michael turned 36 this spring, and if his spring training is any indication, there's plenty left. He hit 6 home runs down in Florida. Had his season curtailed last year by shoulder and hamstring injuries. But even in the brief period of time he was able to play, 190 at bats for the Rockies at .332 with 10 home runs. Just a quality hitter.
Interesting when you watch Scherzer from the stretch. He holds his hands so high in the stretch. He's really got to drop them and drive. Usually pitchers try to keep it around the waist so they can break their hands, and it's an easier flow to the plate.
They're trying to catch up with that high fastball. 1-2.
Wanted it away, but if you're going to miss, up and in, not a bad pitch.
The Mets have gotten some pitches to hit here in the first inning.
One and two to Michael Kadire. Down to third, and that's where Escobar is playing. And the Mets are retired in the top of the first. A leadoff walk and one left. Bartolo Colon takes the mound when we come back. Bartolo Colon takes the opening day start for the Mets, and Michael Taylor leads off for the Nats.
Historic year for Cologne last year. Got his 2000th strikeout, 200th win, 15 wins.
It's his 7th opening day start, but his first since 2006.
When he faced Jamie Moyer, who at the time was over 40 years old. Those are cheap numbers for Bartolo Colon.
Oldest opening day starter since 06, when Moyer and Randy Johnson both were older. There's a good slider against Michael Taylor, 1-2. And the oldest non-knuckle-balding right-hander to start opening day since Nolan Ryan in 1992.
Wow.
Taylor getting the start in center field with Denard Span on the disabled list. Span had core surgery. They're hoping he'll be back before the end of April.
Well, both Denard Span and Jason Worth took batting practice today, and if you didn't know they were hurt, you would figure they would be in the lineup today, just ringing this place with line drives and BP.
Yunel Escobar on deck, then Bryce Harper for the Nats. And Taylor shoots one up the middle, and he's got a leadoff hit. So Michael Taylor, who we got a glimpse of last year, hit his first big league home run against the Mets, gets an opening hit. There's your Nats starting lineup, a little different with Rendon and Span and Worth all on the sideline. So, surprise of surprises, Dan Uggla, who was released twice last year, gets an opening day start at second base. What a gorgeous afternoon. 77 degrees, beautiful bright sunny skies, which of course will pose a problem for the hitters in a few minutes when the shadows start to encroach across the plate. Taylor, a guy who can run as well as hit. Last year, 23 home runs, 37 stolen bases in AA and AAA.
Well, he was certainly impressive. He made his debut against the Mets, I believe, Gare.
His first big league home run against Carlos Torres last year. Plays a fine center field as well. He is their center fielder of the future. And big lead, as it turns out, of the present, and a very close play. Taylor keeps on stretching it, and Colon's not going to let him go.
You know, Keith brought it up that last night the Cardinals tried to take advantage of John Lester's inability to throw the bases. I think teams are going to test Travis d'Arnaud and his ability to throw out would-be base stealers.
To the right side, Murphy gets over to plate, his only play to first, and Duda has to come off the bag, and Escobar is safe. So Daniel Murphy, who missed the last 3 weeks of Major League spring training with a hamstring injury, makes a wide throw on his first chance.
Well, he just got a little lazy with his throw, a little nonchalant, but underhand. You want to throw it like a quarterback over the top, and that's an E4. And the Mets are in a little bit of trouble here.
Well, we covered a lot of areas in our little synopsis in our opening today. The one area we didn't talk about is defense, and this is an area of some concern for this team going into the season. Here's Bryce Harper with 2 aboard. Harper, a 2-time All-Star, but he's missed significant time with injury the last 2 years. Just 352 at bats last year. But Harper certainly showed what he is capable of in the Nats' brief postseason appearance last year. 3 home runs in the 4 games against the Giants in the division series.
He's got a world of talent. He's done a lot of things before his 22nd birthday that a lot of players have not done, but he's not had that year that everyone expects.
He's still facing a guy 19 years older than him. Here's 1-0 and a check swing. It's in for a strike, 1-1.
That sounds funny.
Well, he's never faced a pitcher younger than him.
He's on the last.
And it's his 4th year in the major league.
Yep, and his last year of his original contract at what, $9.9 million. So guess what? Salary push right here starting in April. Salary drive early.
Very nice.
Now Colon trying to negotiate what has turned into a difficult first inning. A ground ball single, and then on what should have been a routine play, a throwing error by Murphy. One-on-one to Bryce Harper, and it's up and away.
What was interesting watching that, Keith, is that Taylor faked like he was going to steal, which had David Wright, because he's so far off the line, already moving to third when the pitch was delivered. So lots of issues here for the Mets defense. When you play these kind of shifts, it puts defenses in harm's way.
Good cut. And we'll take a real quick look here at the Metropolitan defense. There she is. And that's brought to you by Lexus, of course. The newcomer, Kadire, the Gold Glover. Welcome to the club, Juan. You deserved it. Flores, the shortstop. Murphy back from the hamstring. Up the middle, talking about defense, Gary. We'll talk about that later. And Darno behind the plate.
Colon looking for his first out with Zimmerman on deck. 2-2 to Harper. Struck him out. There's a big one for Colon for his first out in the opening inning.
Well, he fell behind 2-1. Ron came back and got him.
And he did it with the hard stuff. That is that running fastball that you'll see from Colon stay around 88 to 90, but when he needs it, he'll get it to 91, 92.
Last year, his average fastball velocity was 88.7, which was more than a mile per hour slower than the year before with Oakland. And he threw that fastball last year 83% of the time. So here's Zimmerman looking for a healthy and productive year after playing just 61 games last year.
Well, he's been a guy that has a hard time staying healthy. Big, strong kid, a hustler, Gold Glove at third base. They say he's made the transition over to first base swimmingly, for lack of a better word. Very British.
Swimming.
Swimmingly.
Righto. 1-1 to Zimmerman, making his 10th straight opening day start for the Nats, who are playing their 11th season now in D.C. Zimmerman came up that first year in 05, the same year he was drafted out of the University of Virginia, and has been a fixture ever since.
Stands way off the plate, doesn't he, Ronnie?
Yes, he does. But he's got a nice stride into it. He's got long arms, and it looks like his bat is always about a half-inch longer than most players.
He's got a long bat. He's at his game, top of his game offensively when he goes to the opposite field.
1-1 to Zimmerman. Reaches for it. And fouls off the slider. 1-2.
Now Colon's come out throwing a pretty good slider early, Ronnie.
Well, that's one of the things we saw in spring training, is that Colon was using a lot more changeups and sliders than he did last year. Remember, before he came to the Mets, he was throwing 75-80% fastballs. That's got to change. And take it from me, because I went through it. At some point, Colon's not going to get outs. Mets just hope it's not this year.
Well, he had that early season start last year in Anaheim when he gave up, 4 home runs in the first inning. And at that point, he became convinced he needed to change things around a little. But he still goes back to the fastball when he gets in trouble.
He's throwing hard, 91 miles an hour.
He's ready.
204 wins. It's third among active pitchers. Only Tim Hudson and CC Sabathia have one more.
Those 8 guys in the bullpen aren't for Bartolo Colon.
Two. 92 from Barton. So that's just what you were talking about.
It's interesting. Zimmerman, when he has 2 strikes on him, he will pull the breaking ball, but he tries to block, as you say, Keith, and shoot that ball to right field.
Two on, 1 out. 2-2 to Zimmerman. Good. And he got him. Back-to-back strikeouts for Colon. He got Harper, and he takes care of Zimmerman. 2 out.
Righty on righty changeup?
Yes, sir. Look at the sink.
Well, good sinking fastball. I don't think it was a changeup. Just a good sinker.
Okay. Yeah. I'll tell you what, that's wicked.
So after Scherzer worked around a leadoff walk in the top of the first, Colon trying to work around a single and an error here in the bottom, and the Met killer Wilson Ramos steps in.
Boy, I tell you, Gary, when you're a defensive player out there and you make an error in an inning and put your pitcher behind the 8 ball, and he pitches out of it. You're just kind of going, please, get one more out.
Yeah.
So it doesn't cost us.
Shadows just now arriving at home plate for Ramos, who's hitting .346 lifetime against the Mets. And has a very weak cut at that fastball, 0-1.
Well, to me, I think the Shadows are already in play.
Well, this is definitely not the same lineup without the big three in the lineup for the Nationals.
Two on and two out. And it's fouled away. Well, you're not only, if you're the Nats, you're not only missing the three guys who are on the DL, but you're also missing Adam LaRoche, who killed the Mets last year.
He had 6 home runs and 53 at bats. Anthony Rendon is a guy that killed the Mets last year. I mean, every time he was up, he looked like he hit a line drive.
Rendon just killed the Mets the last series. I believe he went 11 for 19 in that series. That's scorching hot.
Well, the Mets will play the Nats 19 times this year. This may be the weakest they find them. Here's the 0-2, and Ramos takes inside. But you know what? When you're going to run Scherzer and Zimmerman and Strasburg out there for 3 days, you don't need a lot of offense.
You're trying to win 2-1, maybe.
20 pitches deep into this bottom of the first. Here's Matt Williams, last year's National League Manager of the Year. Led the Nats to 96 wins a year ago. 1-2. Murphy with another chance. Handles this one cleanly, and Colon able to work around trouble in the opening inning. After one in D.C., no score. They used to call it the presidential opener here in Washington because the president would often show up to throw out the first pitch. William Howard Taft was the first to do it. What I want to know is, when did the transition come from throwing the first pitch from the stands as opposed to throwing it from the mound?
I think it was Ronald Reagan in Baltimore, 1984. In fact, is when he went to the mound.
Daniel Murphy's first at bat. Flies one out to center field, and Michael Taylor is there to snag it. One pitch and one out.
That being said, I'd like to put my vote in to bring it back to the stands. I think that's a great shot.
The problem is, when George W. Bush threw that strike in the 2001 World Series with the flak jacket on, he ruined it for everybody else.
That was about as good as it got, right? And his dad was the ball player
at Yale.
That's right.
As I'm sure you knew.
Captain.
Here's Juan Lagares, and he takes a strike. So you're Lagares, and you go all spring, and they're telling you you're going to be the leadoff guy. You got to get on base more, and he does a tremendous job of that. And you find yourself in the 6th hole on opening day. What are you thinking?
You're glad to be in the lineup, in either way you look at it, but it depends on the individual. I think it could be a little discombobulating. I thought he did a terrific job in the leadoff hole.
I think what I found interesting, and Terry Collins, of course, is always left to explain it, but I thought it was interesting that he said they were trying to protect Lagares against these fine right-handed pitchers. Juan's going to be facing them a lot in his career.
Good slider by Scherzer to get him. His 2nd strikeout.
There's no protection in this league.
If you're leading off and you got 2 and 3 hitters coming up behind you, that's plenty of protection.
Well, it also reminds me of early last season when Lagares wasn't playing every day, and the notion was, well, we need to work him in slowly. Sometimes you just need to throw a guy in the deep end of the pool. He certainly showed last year he can handle it.
I don't want to work him in slowly. He's one of the best players you have.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Travis d'Arnaud, and really unique among the Met regulars, did not have a particularly good spring with the bat after a tremendous second half last year. d'Arnaud hit .212 in spring training. I would think that right now, going up against Max Scherzer, you have to discount just about everything you see from a hitter right now.
Or not see. Yeah. I mean, with the shadows.
Well, it's a consequence of the 4 o'clock start and a bright sunny day here in D.C. Scherzer walked his first batter, and he's retired 5 in a row. And a weak ground ball down to Escobar. And that retires the side. So a 1-2-3 inning for Max Scherzer in the top of the 2nd. Colon heads back to the mound for the bottom of the 2nd. Mets and Nats on opening day. No score. Who squirmed out of trouble in the first inning. And Desmond grounds one down to David Wright. 1 pitch and 1 out for Bartolo Colon in the home 2nd. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, widget, and more every night on every device. Visit MLB.TV for details. Well, here is Dan Uggla, and if you had to rank the biggest surprises in an opening day starting lineup this season based on track record, this might be the one. Last year released by the Braves, released by the Giants, came to spring training as a non-roster player with the Nats, and with Rendon going down, it opened up a spot for him. And Uggla pops one up. Flores calls off right. And quickly, Colon has 2 out.
You know what's interesting about Uggla, Gary, Keith, is that he had LASIK surgery. He was complaining about not being able to see. He had the surgery. He came out of it. They said, your vision's 20/20. He said, fine, but when I'm playing, it's not 20/20. And they found out when his head moved, his vision went from 20/20 to 2100. So he's been working on exercises to get him back to where he was before.
Basically an inner ear problem that was causing that. So
we'll see.
We'll see. Here's Tyler Moore getting the start in left field with the absence of Jason Worth, who will be the left fielder when he comes back, which is a change. They want Harper to play full-time in right. But Moore is a guy who has been successful when he's played, but not successful as a pinch hitter, which most of the time is his role, which creates a conundrum.
Well, he had his breakout season, not breakout season, his early career with Davey Johnson as manager. Davey played him a lot, and he had a nice year, 10 home runs. But then last year really relegated to the bench under Matt Williams.
Had just 91 big league at bats last year, hit .231, but he's got power, and he can play an adequate outfield for them. And right now he was the choice by Matt Williams today over the former Matt Dendecker, who is on the Nats roster, and he's on the bench.
Well, he first Matt Dendecker.
They even got the lowercase letters in time to put that jersey together. It's good for Matt. He should get an opportunity here that he was not going to get with the Mets. 2-2 to Moore with 2 out, and he pops one up into shallow right center. Lagares will handle it, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Bartolo Colon. He's now set down 6 in a row. No score after 2. Pepsi, the official soft drink of MLB. By Verizon, don't miss a moment of Mets baseball with Fios Quantum, America's fastest internet, only from Verizon. By Land Rover, above and beyond. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote.
Scherzer really walks around the infield grass once he gets his pitches.
warm-up pitches.
He stalks.
Yes. Stalks his prey.
Wilmer Flores leading off in the third inning.
And the Shadows are officially advantage pitcher.
Flores, his first opening day as a Met. And quickly behind in the count 0-2. And there you see what Keith speaks of.
It is going to be very difficult to pick up a spin on the ball when the Shadows. And that's all. Chased a high slider.
Scherzer makes quick work of Flores, and we check in with the fourth member of our crew, Steve Gelb. Steve?
Thanks, Gary. Well, going into spring training this year, all the buzz surrounding this team and all the positive vibes had to do with the fact that this pitching staff was going to be as good as the Mets think it will be. However, as spring went on, the one thing that stood out to me is just how much the offense and their production kind of took over the headlines. And you speak to players around this team, and to a man, they all credit Kevin Long and his assistant Pat Rossler with really helping out the offense in a big way. Since the start of spring training, guys have been talking about his energy as Cologne rockets this into center field. That's pretty good contact for Cologne right there. So Kevin Long having an effect on the pitcher already, but there are two away. But talking about his energy, talking about his individualistic approach to each and every guy, whether it be pitching from the extreme left side of the mound to Lucas Duda to help him with lefties, whether it be getting the front foot out a little sooner for Daniel Murphy, or with Curtis Granderson, who had a great spring, just getting him to kind of cut down on everything else outside of his swing and just compressing things. They've loved what he's brought to the team. Now we'll see if they can carry it through to the regular season. Guys.
Well, certainly it's a comfort level for Curtis Granderson to be back together with Kevin Long, and seeing the results from March, they were certainly incredibly encouraging.
It's like having your own personal hitting coach follow you around. Who wouldn't want that?
Weak ground ball, easy for Uggla. And that's 9 in a row retired by Scherzer after he walked Granderson in the first. Scherzer and Cologne matching zeros in D.C. No score. An at bat leading off in the home third, had just 2 at bats playing in the American League last year. Of course, he started out with the Diamondbacks, so he had a small period of time early in his career when he got to swing the bat in anger. Lifetime 165 hitter.
Scherzer's a good athlete. Guy who can, he can move around. He's a good fielder. He'll be more than adequate with the bat for the Nationals.
Well, the most important thing, the 5 years with Detroit, he won 82 ball games and a Cy Young.
And Cologne says hello and goodbye. 3 pitches, and Scherzer sits down. Third strikeout for Bartolo. This third inning is presented by your local tri-state Audi dealers and the uncompromised Audi A3 sedan. So Cologne gave up a leadoff hit to this guy, Michael Taylor. Had an error made behind him, and since then has retired 7 in a row. Taylor, much like Juan Lagares, began his professional career as a shortstop. Drafted out of high school in 2009. They considered him very much a project, a raw athletic talent who has turned into a fine baseball player who they think is going to be very important to this franchise.
You said he was a teammate of Matt Dendecker in high school.
They went to the same high school. Yep.
Tall kid, around 6'3". I think almost close to 6'4". Big, tall, lanky kid.
Hit .304 in the minor leagues last year with a .390 on base percentage and 23 home runs.
That was at 2 levels. I think it was AA and AAA that he was performing in last year.
You mentioned, Gary, with not hitters' parks too to hit those 23 home runs.
Right. Playing in the Eastern League and in the International League. Not like playing in Vegas. Pops this one up. Murphy calling as he goes. Called off by Granderson. 2 out. So 8 in a row retired by Cologne. And he'll face Yunel Escobar with 2 out and nobody on. Escobar was brought here from Oakland in the trade that sent Tyler Clippard to the A's, and it remains to be seen how much that trade is going to help or hurt the Nats.
Well, the Nats have some issues because they've got some players in the last year of their contracts. They're going to be free agents. Clippard was one of them. So they've started to clean house a little bit on guys that they're not sure they're going to be able to sign. And Clippard was one of those guys, but so valuable. Maybe the most valuable reliever in that bullpen the last half dozen seasons.
Oh, I think he was the best setup man in the National League for the last 3-4 years.
As for Escobar, who began his career annoying people in Atlanta, he has really grown up and become a valuable player at age 32. So much so that he volunteered to move from second to third base when Rendon got hurt during spring. He was brought here to be a second baseman.
Well, he got in Bobby Cox's doghouse big time, and it was for lack of hustle.
Cologne ahead 1-2. And Murphy gets in front of this ground ball. And Cologne's got himself another 1-2-3 inning. That's 9 straight retired by Bartolo after 3 in D.C. on opening day. No score. East. The Nats blowing away the division by 17 games, and they did it on the backs of their success against the Mets, against whom they were 15-4. Here are some of the changes they made since last season. Casey Janssen on the disabled list right now. We've already seen Scherzer and Escobar and Dendecker on the bench. But I think as much as they might miss LaRoche, I think the hardest guy to replace is Clipper among the guys who have moved on. David Wright leads off against Max Scherzer in the fourth. Mets still looking for their first hit. Scherzer's retired 9 straight after a leadoff walk, and he gets the breaking ball in for a strike. Well, there's some of what Tyler Clippard accomplished mostly as the setup man in that Washington bullpen the last 4 years.
And they acquired Clippard from the Yankees, and they got a lot of good years out of him. That's for sure. Good deal for the Nats.
1-2 from Scherzer, and a defensive cut over the bag. Zimmerman with a nice play and gets the out. A little inside-out emergency hack by Wright nearly ended up as a double, but Zimmerman makes a nice play.
Completely tied up inside, but Zimmerman really, you know what? It's just the other opposite corner of the infield. Nothing to it. Nicely done.
I think we tend to forget, because he's had so many throwing issues, how good of a fielder Ryan Zimmerman is. Great range, great hands.
Here's Lucas Duda, who was struck out his first time up. 10 in a row retired by Scherzer, and he throws the curveball in the dirt. First curve I think we've seen from him this afternoon. Well, we'd like to send a shout out to everybody who is at Citi Field this afternoon watching the game on Citi Vision. The brand new huge Mets scoreboard popped up along the third base line for Escobar, and he's got it in foul ground, 2 out. Must be nice, right?
It's a beautiful day there, just as it is here.
Hang out, watch the Mets on the big screen with your fellow fans.
That's right.
Do you think they'd rather have the camera in the booth watch us, or they'd rather watch the ball game?
As long as your mic is on 11, everything's fine. Don't want to miss a word. Here's Michael Kadire, who grounded out his first time up, and he's fooled on that slider.
Just got cloudy here for a second, so no shadows for Kadire's at bat.
Got a little hanging slider there. The first bad hanging slider that Scherzer's thrown, but he took a little off. Got him out in front.
94 from Scherzer, 1-1.
There was a day when you used to call a pitcher like Scherzer a crossfire. He's a guy that throws 3/4 across his body. Makes it very difficult on the right-handed hitters. Tim Welke, the home plate umpire, has got a very not generous strike zone, but he's being aggressive in calling strikes.
One-two to Kadire. A late swing on a fastball. Max Scherzer, who was a finance major at the University of Missouri, which now he's a finance expert.
Exactly.
$210 million later.
He's still majoring in finance.
Toward the middle of the diamond, but that's where Uggla's playing. And that's now 12 in a row retired by Scherzer. Still no score on opening day. Matt Harvey to celebrate. The Mets are offering a 3 for $33 package, which gets you 3 tickets to the game for $33, along with $15 credit off food and beverage. All fans will also receive a special Matt Harvey t-shirt presented by Old Dominion Freight Line. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Harvey. From Harvey to Harper, who leads off in the home 4th inning of a scoreless game. And Harper hits a rocket to deep right center field. Back goes Granderson, takes a look, and it's out of here. Bryce Harper opens the scoring. And the Nats have a 1-0 lead. Well, Keith talked in the open about Harper and how much is on his shoulders.
Right down the pipe here. Wanted to get it away and just didn't run it out there enough. And this ball was launched.
13 home runs last year, 3 more in the postseason. And now an opening day home run for Harper, who hit 2 opening day home runs 2 years ago. So after Colon had retired 9 straight, he gives up the long ball to Harper, who, if memory serves, during spring training hit one over the pavilion in right field at Tradition Field.
I was there. It hit right on top. Keith and I were doing the game. It was 470 feet away. I mean, the wind was blowing out, but it was prodigious, to say the least.
Well, he's been called a prodigy before.
Yeah.
1-2 to Ryan Zimmerman. Nats finished 4th in the National League in home runs last year, with Harper and Zimmerman missing large chunks of the season.
Ooh.
And Colon ties up Zimmerman and strikes him out for the 2nd time. 4th strikeout for Colon.
Colon's done a nice job so far of pitching the right-handers in. And that's 2 strikeouts on that sinking fastball in on the hands of Zimmerman.
A nice movement on that today.
It's both pitchers have pitched inside ahead in the count with 2 strikes. And we got away from that baseball, that is, when that's steroid era, and guys were afraid to throw in. Pitchers are now beginning to throw more and more inside.
Well, the game has certainly gone the other way as Wilson Ramos takes a strike. Last year, teams combined to score 8.1 runs per game, the lowest since 1981. The batting average and on base percentage were the lowest since 1972. Slow grounder, first chance for Flores. Easy play, gets Ramos 2 out. Well, last year it was Ian Desmond putting a hurting on Bartolo Colon in his first start as a Met. Desmond took him deep. And then the very next month he did it again.
Well, he's a fine player, 3-time Silver Slugger at shortstop, and well deserved.
2 of the 24 home runs that Desmond hit last year. And Ronnie was talking about Nats who are in their walk year. Desmond is front and center in that group.
They offered him a contract over $100 million. He turned it down. He's doing what Scherzer did last year, betting on himself to have a big season.
Yeah, Scherzer turned down $144 million from the Tigers, and he won that bet. That'll sell out of play. 0-2. The other guy who is of great importance to the Nats, who's in his walk year, is the guy we'll see in Game 2 of this series, Jordan Zimmerman. He's a free agent after the year.
Ended his season last year with a no-hitter on the last day of the season. 8 2/3 of fine baseball against the Giants.
So that means the last 13 regular season innings that the Nats have played, their pitchers haven't given up a hit. The last 9 last year and the first 4 this year. Colon ahead on Desmond, 0-2. Off day tomorrow. That's Keith's first off day of the year.
That's right.
And then the Mets and Nats are back in action Wednesday night with the National League Rookie of the Year, Jacob deGrom, against the aforementioned Zimmerman. Matt Harvey makes his first appearance in what seems like forever on Thursday against Steven Strasburg.
Harvey, by the way, when introduced before the game, got a huge, I'm talking about huge round of applause.
He did.
Yeah, there are a pretty good number of Mets fans here, but nobody got a bigger cheer from that group than did Harvey. And you can certainly understand why. Met fans waited a long time to see Matt back on the mound. And the waiting ends Thursday afternoon. Poked into foul ground, and Duda doing his best, but not quite getting there. Lucas, who told Mark Carrigan Newsday the other day that he used to be fast and that he saw himself as a kid playing shortstop in the big leagues.
His only issue, he grew.
And he grew a lot. Two out and nobody on. 1-2 to Desmond. Hit hard, but right at David. And the sidearm toss scooped out by Duda. Side retired. Malone gets the next three, but not the first. Bryce Harper dents one. First run of the year. 1-0 Nats. Featuring pitch-by-pitch coverage, player cards, and in-depth stats. Check out SNY Game Day on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Just 46 pitches through 4 hitless innings for Max Scherzer. He walked Curtis Granderson to lead off the game, and since has retired 12 in a row. Daniel Murphy saw just one pitch and flied out to center field his first time up. Murphy, Lagares, and d'Arnaud, 5, 6, and 7 in the Mets order here in the 5th. So the opening day pitching matchup in Milwaukee today was the Kyles, right? Yeah. Kyle Kendrick, unlikely opening day starter for Colorado. Kyle Loesch, who's been great the last few years for Milwaukee. 10-0 Rockies after 8.
Wow.
Kendrick went 7 scoreless. Now that's an opening day starter. Meanwhile, the former Milwaukee opening day starter is the opening day starter for Texas tonight, Giovanni Gallardo. Murphy hits another fly ball to center. This one a little deeper for Taylor. Easy play. 1 out. Well, the Mets have had a habit of winning on opening day. In fact, they are the best opening day team in Mets history. And that 39, it's actually 34-19. That's a misprint. Yeah. But 34-19 is incredible enough. But when you consider the Mets lost their first 8 opening day games, they're 34-11 since 1970 on opening day, and that's even with a loss last year.
Just a crazy record.
Lagares takes a curveball for a strike. It's actually 34 of their last 45 opening day games. This is the 54th year. Every time you look up, Scherzer's 0-2 on someone else. Lagares struck out his first time up, and again.
Wow.
Fourth strikeout for Scherzer. He's now set down 14 in a row.
Well, this is just heat right here. It's right down Broadway. And he beats Juan. Swung through it, under it.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now d'Arnaud. Travis grounded out to third base his first time up.
It's a good idea right there to step out on the pitcher. Guy's in a groove.
As long as you keep your foot in the box. Part of the new speed up rules this year. Can't step out between pitches unless you swing and miss or foul the ball off.
I was watching, though, last night. Anthony Rizzo for the Cubs would step out of the box and back in. Very quickly, though, but still would step out of the box.
Oh, he's got a good slider. He's double tough on righties. I mean, if you're a left-hand hitter, you're going to get that ball away off Scherzer. And Scherzer uses more off-speed pitches to the left-handers to keep them honest. But this slider is wicked to a right-hander.
It's one of those little league games, you know, where the big kid just keeps abusing the little kids that come up to the plate. That's what it looks like.
They're the correct opening day numbers for the Mets. 34-19. Mets won a World Series before they won an opening day game. And Scherzer goes back to the slider and strikes out d'Arnaud. 5 strikeouts for Scherzer in 5 hitless innings. Halfway through, 1-0 Nats. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com with the official daily fantasy partner of the New York Mets. Enter promo code NYM for free entry. Home 5th inning. Dan Uggla leads off against Bartolo Colon and takes a strike. Uggla popped up to short his first time up. Uggla now 35 years old. Originally signed by the Diamondbacks, but then he was a Rule 5 pick by the Marlins, which is where he established his career.
233 big league home runs for Dan Uggla.
24 of them against the Mets.
And just fell off a cliff.
Well, he wasn't the only one in Atlanta. The other cliff faller, BJ, now known as Melvin Upton, who's now a San Diego Padre. I think everybody was shocked when that deal came down last night.
Craig Kimbrell will have a chance to save a game if the Padres are ahead in Los Angeles tonight.
I'm telling you,
has his 5th strikeout.
Big pitch inside. This is called pitching, folks. You got a guy 2 strikes, you pound them in. They're most vulnerable in.
Well, the Braves are clearly stripping down. I mean, they're getting rid of as much salary as they can. They're going to try and boost their farm system. The 2 prospects they got back from the Padres, especially Whistler, is supposed to be very good. And they got a draft pick as well. Carlos Quentin, they're designated for assignment. They had no interest in him, but they needed to take that salary in order to make the deal.
Well, it was almost like they said to Padres, you want Kimbrel? You got to take Melvin.
Right. Well, that devalued Kimbrel a little bit. I mean, you normally would get an even better deal for the best closer in the game, but to shed the Upton money, they had to take maybe a little less. But it changes the dynamic of this National League East, because you've got a Phillies team that is trying to figure out what it's doing, and you've got a Braves team that is making no bones about stripping down.
Well, how about what it did to the National League West? It got another team. I mean, the Padres are going to be a team to be considered.
Well, they've got some things to answer, because they don't really have a center fielder unless, Melvin Upton resurrects his career, and they don't have a shortstop. A half cut by Moore, and he's down on strikes. Back-to-back strikeouts for Cologne, and they're 2 out.
Well, just the fastball up in the strike zone. Lots of movement this afternoon's game by Cologne.
6 punch-outs for Bartolo.
I saw on Twitter Mike Mills of the band REM, big Atlanta Braves fan. All he said was punt.
Well, what I want to know is, if you're Freddie Freeman, what do you think? I mean, they've basically stripped away everybody but Freeman and Andrelton Simmons. I mean, would you throw a pitch to Freeman anywhere near the strike zone this year?
No, he'll be pitched around most of the summer.
Cologne has struck out the first 2 in the inning, ahead 0-2. And he strikes out the side. So Bartolo Colon with 7 strikeouts through 5. He's been terrific. Only problem is Scherzer's been even better. Mets will still be looking for their first hit when they come to pitcher numbers, and they've been awfully good for Bartolo Colon and almost perfect for Max Scherzer. That's about 1 base runner. That was Curtis Granderson leading off the game. He walked. Scherzer's proceeded to retire the next 15. Wilmer Flores leads off the 6th in a 1-0 game and takes a strike. Flores struck out his first time up, 1 of 5 for Scherzer on the afternoon. Colon on deck. He's hit the ball harder than any Met today. And then Granderson behind him. Flores pops one up. Shallow left center. And Taylor takes charge of it for the first out. Let's check in with the studio. Jonas Schwartz is there for a game break brought to you by Honda. Here's Colon, who hit a line drive to center field that was caught his first time up. Now 2 for 63 as a Met. And he's going to take a strike. He was not going to swing until he had a strike.
He said he's going to work the pitcher this year, Gary.
Well, he's never drawn a walk in his major league career. 159 at bats now without a walk. But now it's 2-1. Last year he had a double, the first of his career. At 7 sacrifice bunts, which is probably the most important number. And he flares that one foul, and it's 2-2.
I always find it funny when pitchers get behind pitchers who aren't good hitters. It's just, here's a fastball down the pipe. I'm not walking you. Go ahead, take your swing.
And Colon down on strikes. That's 6 for Scherzer. T-Mobile Game Changer brought to you by T-Mobile. Curtis Granderson had himself quite a spring training. The numbers speak for themselves. OPS over 1,200. You'd take that over a full season, wouldn't you? Granderson, the only base runner for the Mets today, walked leading off the game, grounded out in the third. You know, Keith talked about facing the opposing pitcher, and you know, for Scherzer, who's been in the American League the last few years, this has got to be a big benefit, facing lineups that have that breathing spot at the bottom.
Well, I know when I was traded to the American League, I was, a guy that had 150, 180 strikeouts. In between there, you go to the American League, 30 of those just get swallowed up with the DH.
Now Scherzer behind 2-0, and now 3-0.
Lost a little velocity, too. He's like dropping his arm here.
It's his first 3-ball count since he walked Granderson leading off the game. David Wright on deck. And Curtis, who often swings 3-0, sees one out of the strike zone, and he's walked for the second time. So that snaps a string of 17 in a row retired by Scherzer. And the Mets have the tying run at first with 2 out.
He is a stalker around that infield, is he not, Scherzer?
I'll tell you exactly what he's thinking. Even the great ones or the good ones here will lose your concentration once in a while. That's exactly what happened against Granderson.
So a chance for David Wright with a runner on. Wright is fouled out and grounded out 0 for 2. Granderson at first and 2 out.
Doesn't look like Scherzer likes throwing the ball to first base either.
Seen a few of those lollipops already today.
Last time, Granderson's been the only guy on base. The last time Curtis was on, he was really very, very aware of Curtis. He had held the ball a long time for the stretch like he is now.
And Wright, first pitch swinging, pops up the fastball. Ugla has it lined up and called off. It's dropped, and Granderson will have to stop at third. Desmond, I don't know why, called off Ugla at the last moment, and the Mets have second and third and 2 out.
That's not Desmond's ball. That is clear over on the other side of the infield. Come on. That is your second baseman. He's calling it off. And then Ugla, it's a new. Ugla's got to just. I'm sure if he was a veteran in this ball club, he would have not. There's the reaction. I should be in the dugout.
Well, that's got to be an error on Desmond.
They're not going to give a hit when he's got a no-no up there.
No, it's got to be an error. And they have scored it just that way. Error on the shortstop. So the Mets now with the tying and go-ahead runs in scoring position. And what do they do with Duda? They're going to pitch to him?
Yes.
Lucas has struck out and fouled out. Michael Kadire on deck. They don't put the full shift on now against Duda with second and third.
They got Ugla playing back in the outfield. I want nothing to do with Kadire, Gary. Kadire is the professional line drive hitter that thrives in RBI situations where just a line drive is needed.
Little lack of concentration by Scherzer here, and a bad play by Desmond. See if the Mets can parlay it into 2 runs.
1-0 to Duda. Drove in 92 last year and takes a strike. 96 miles an hour from Scherzer, dialing it up.
Straight up in the outfield. We see a lot of this infield in one direction, outfield straight up or in the opposite direction.
Duda fouls it away.
That was the pitch to hit right there. Down, inner half, just beat him. This was the pitch, Ronnie, right down the pipe.
Down where he likes it, too.
Didn't get it.
First time the Mets have had a runner in scoring position today, and they've got 2 of them. But Scherzer ahead 1-2.
Might bounce a changeup here.
Duda lines a base hit into right center. The Mets' first hit of the game will give them the lead. Granderson is in. Wright is right behind him. Lucas Duda with a 2-run single, and the Mets go in front 2-1. Scherzer had not allowed a hit through 5 2/3, but a walk, an error, and Duda cashes them both in.
Fastball away, belt high. Nice level swing, Lucas, with 2 strikes. Well done.
Almost hubris there by Scherzer as he tried to just throw it right by Duda. He didn't miss the second fastball.
So the Mets finally break through. A couple of unearned runs and a 2-1 lead. Here's Kadire with Duda at first and 2 out. And Scherzer throws a cutter outside.
Jeez, this is the big leagues here. He should have been in the dugout. Got to stop the bleeding right here.
He had 2 out and nobody on until he walked Granderson on 4 pitches. There's a good slider. 1-1.
You know, we talk all the time in spring training how pitchers have to get to 100 pitches, physically get to a point where they can go deep in a game. We don't ever talk about mentally how they get deep into a game, how to react when you are on the ropes with guys on base. Sometimes your mind can wander. I shouldn't say mind wander, but sometimes fatigue starts to set in because you have to work into that.
Well, also, you talked in the first inning about how pumped up he is. I think when the adrenaline goes up and comes down again, sometimes you have an inevitable lull.
You almost spent all of that energy early in the game.
1-2 to Kadire with Duda at first. And the slider strikes him out. That ends the inning, but the Mets cash a pair. A walk and an error set the table, and Lucas Duda went to lunch. 2 RBIs for Duda on the Mets' first hit, and the Mets lead 2-1 in the 6th. fireworks night following the Mets game against the Marlins at 7:10. For tickets, visit Mets.com/fireworks. Well, there haven't been many fireworks this afternoon, but Lucas Duda just provided them with a 2-run base hit. Provided Bartolo Colon and the Mets with their first lead of the day. And now Colon will set about his third time through the Nationals batting order.
Third time through the order, the top of the order. Huge shutdown inning.
Michael Taylor has one of the 2 hits against Colon, and he stopped that swing in time. Taylor singled to center to lead off the first inning. Colon worked out of a 2-on jam in that inning. An error made behind him by Murphy that he was able to work around. Scherzer not able to work around the error by Desmond behind him.
The ramifications of not turning double plays, making errors, they just show up so much in today's game because the pitch count is everything. If you don't make that play, Scherzer takes 6, 7, 8 pitches off his pitch count.
Taylor chops one to right, and David throws him out, 1 away. So Colon, who had retired 9 in a row before giving up a home run to Harper, is now retired another 7 in a row. So that's 16 of the last 17 that Colon has set down. 1 out and nobody on for Yunel Escobar. Escobar reached on the error by Murphy in the first, grounded out to Murphy in the third.
Up in the strike zone, chasing.
It was supposed to be a cutter that kind of just got away from Colon.
He's been up, he's been down, he's been in, he's been out. And he's ahead on Escobar 0-2.
Still throwing 92 miles an hour on his 70th pitch.
No, he's not one of those 4 pitchers that's not ready to throw 100 pitches.
He's like, he's a freak of nature.
He can go 9.
Going to turn 42 years of age next month. 0-2 to Escobar. That's lined right to Duda. I'm not sure if he saw that ball properly until it was right on top of him. You got the sun peeking through the shadows on that side of the field.
Well, one thing that's good about a shadow field, Gary, is a lot of times in day games with folks wearing white shirts, it's hard to pick up the ball. Here it's just a shadowy ball. You can see Lucas had a bead on it and just said, I better get my kisser out of the way.
Occasionally you don't catch the ball catches you. I think that's what happened there to Lucas.
So 2 out and nobody on, and here's Harper, who opened the scoring with a home run leading off the 4th inning. Up into the seats in right center. And Colon goes right after him.
Interesting that Harper, after he's had 2 at-bats against Colon, would take a first pitch fastball.
There's a good cut at that fastball and fouls it off 0-2. Of course, like cold hard facts, strikeout to walk ratio in the National League last year. Those are the elite. And Colon right up among them.
Pretty good starting 5 right there.
Yeah. Best regular season pitcher in baseball and the best postseason pitcher in history in that top 4, right ahead of Colon and 2 Nats. Just missed to Harper 1-2.
Home plate umpire Tim Welke is really having a good day behind the plate. He's called a good game.
He's one of the good umpires. Solid.
Crew chief always gets the plate on opening day. Colon ahead on Harper 1-2. Past the mound, up the middle, base hit. So Harper has his second hit of the day, just the 3rd off Colon. And the Nats have the tying run aboard with 2 out.
Change up.
Yeah, a little change up down.
Good hitting. He just stayed in. Not a bad pitch. Not a bad location.
So now Zimmerman, who has had a rough time against Colon so far today. Up twice, struck out swinging both times.
It's almost better right now for the hitters, even though the shadows aren't optimal, but it's better to be in complete shade. as opposed to light shade or shaded light, the ball traveling as the ball travels.
Good move there by Cologne. I'm wondering, Zimmerman has struck out on 2 balls inside. Does a veteran hitter look in occasionally? Maybe this at bat.
It's funny, Ronnie, because he's so far from the plate, you'd think you couldn't get him out inside.
It's just the opposite.
Yep.
That's how it works with hitters.
Exactly.
The farther they stand off the plate, the more they have to stride in. The more they stride in, the more vulnerable they are inside.
And he's about as far from the plate as any quality hitter in the league. He's almost Dae-Sung Koo far away from the plate.
Hanger.
Did you see in last night's game, Jason Hayward has changed his stance a little bit with St. Louis. He's closer to the plate. He was like Zimmerman, far off the dish.
He's such a different hitter now than when he first came up because of all the shoulder problems.
Got 3 hits yet last night in the opener.
Slider misses to Zimmerman, 1-1. How about the Cubs last night? Home opener, Wrigley Field, big crowd, renovated the ballpark. They go 0 for 13 with runners in scoring position. 1-1 to Zimmerman with Harper at first, and that misses. 2-1. Of course, they are still rebuilding the bleachers at Wrigley, and that's not really a problem. Just meant fewer people could come, which is probably a good thing because apparently they didn't have enough facilities to handle all the patrons. Very, very long lines. 2-1 from Cologne, and that misses. So Cologne, who's not walked a batter today.
Well, he realized
a 3-1 count.
It's a tight ball game. Zimmerman's a professional hitter. I know the on-deck circle, Wilson Ramos has been a Met killer, but I think if Bartolo wants to pick his poison here, it's going to be Ramos.
It's the first 3-ball count of the day for Cologne. 3-1 to Zimmerman. And it's too high, ball 4. So now 2 out and 2 on, and Ramos coming up. And Dan Worthing's going to take his first trip to the mound.
Well, it's a trip to the mound not only to talk to Cologne, but I think Terry Collins, if you got 8 guys in the bullpen, might start thinking about getting someone busy. But I think you're right, Keith. I think you pitch around Zimmerman to face Ramos.
I want to win this opening day game if I'm managing. Get this Met club off on the right foot. Beat their ace, their $200 million ace, as a matter of fact. And really get it going good, and you feel good about the off day. You work out your team tomorrow, and you're ready to go for game 2 in the series come Wednesday.
So here's Ramos, who has grounded out twice against Cologne this afternoon. 2-1 New York, 6th inning. That's at the tying run at second, the potential go-ahead run at first, and Carlos Torres, one of the 2 towers for the Mets, out of the bullpen. Alex Torres and Carlos Torres. Harper at second, Zimmerman at first, 2 out. And it's popped up foul. That'll come out of play.
You can really see some of the metrics at work here defensively. Well, look at Michael Kadire in left field. He can't be further off the line as they're trying to protect him and maybe his lack of running speed by trying to put him in the gap.
But boy, if Ramos hits it down the line.
Yeah, but Ramos has been tardy his first 2 at-bats, and this first swing, he was way late. He looks a little tentative at the plate. We'll see.
1-1 to Ramos. Wilson Ramos now 27 years old, and like many of these Nats, the goal is to keep him healthy all year. He can play. One, and it's too high. 2 balls and a strike.
I wonder if Danny Worthing, when he went out to talk to Bartolo Colon, if you notice, he's kind of sitting on his backside, which means he's getting underneath the baseball. That's why the ball is up in the strike zone.
Dan Worthen now in his 7th full season as the Mets pitching coach.
A big pitch right here.
2-1 to Ramos. And he misses away. 3-1. So after not having a three-ball count all day, Cologne's had 2 in a row. He walked Zimmerman. Now 3-1 to Ramos, who has just strafed the Mets ever since the Nats got him from Minnesota.
And a very dangerous hitter in the on-deck circle, and Ian Desmond.
I think Cologne would face Desmond in this inning. 3-1 coming. And Ramos swinging a pitch sinking away from him. 3-2.
Well, what a good pitch by Cologne. Right on the corner, right on the knees.
Wasn't going to get a fastball.
So now a full count to Ramos. That'll put Harper in motion at second and Zimmerman at first with 3-2 and 2 down. That's up 2-1, 6th inning. Three-two. He got him. Bartolo Colon strikes out Wilson Ramos, and the Nats strand 2. 8 strikeouts for Colon, and the Mets have a 2-1 lead after 6. With a constant flow of Mets news and opinion featuring game breakdowns, special features, and player profiles, Mets Blog, presented by Citi, part of the SNY.TV blog network. Mets with a 2-1 lead as we go to the 7th. Daniel Murphy will lead off against Max Scherzer. Murph's been up twice, flied out to center field both times, and he takes a changeup outside. Mets scored both their runs after a 2-out error on a base hit by Lucas Duda. Murph flies this one to left field, and Tyler Moore grabs it for the first out.
Very unusual first 3 at-bats for Daniel Murphy in any game that we've ever seen him over the years. 3 fly balls. That hardly ever happens.
You know, Keith, the last 3 weeks, Murph has either been on the sidelines or playing in minor league games. Does that make a difference in terms of getting up to speed for opening day?
I don't think so, Gary, because you're not facing the major league level of competition, but you're getting actual game experience. But you're a little out of sync.
Lagares hits one sharply, and Desmond on the backhand. Nice pickup, but the low throw can't be handled by Zimmerman, and Lagares is safe. Boy, Desmond having himself a rough afternoon. First the drop pop-up, and now he spikes this throw.
Well, Desmond, remember, when he first came up, had trouble throwing. Made a lot of throwing errors. Well, here's one of them right here. That's a tough play for Zimmerman, the in-between hop.
Second error of the game for Desmond.
Tough chance.
The first one led to 2 runs, and the Mets will try and cash in again.
Let's see. Lagares gets a jump here. Steal the base.
Stole 13 last year, but remember, he didn't really try much the first 4.5 months of the season. As d'Arnaud waves with the slider, but when he was asked to run late in the year, he stole 8 in a 9-game span. There you see the leaders in errors last year at shortstop, and Desmond has the early lead again with a couple today. d'Arnaud takes a knee-high fastball, and it's 0-2. Travis is grounded to third and struck out today. Well, the fortified Padres just scored 2 in the 5th against Clayton Kershaw to go in front of the Dodgers 3-2. Here's the 0-2 and a slider off the plate. The stolen base numbers on Lagares.
Remember in the first half, he had a little bit of a hammy issue, also hamstring issue.
Probably would have stolen more late in the year, but he got shut down with the elbow problem that ended his season with a couple of weeks to go. And Scherzer with another one of those lollipop throws, and you wonder, is that trying to set the runner up, or is that just he's having the yips?
It would be setting him up if we've seen one good move over there, but we have not.
So many pitchers having trouble throwing to bases. Nice pickup by Ramos. 2-2 to d'Arnaud.
They would have had a little issue with the 85 Cardinals, I think, some of the guys today. Oh, nice job by Ramos, huh, Keith?
Yeah, he was going to go for the backhand, and he realized, you know what, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to get in front of the ball.
d'Arnaud's worked his way back to 2-2. And he flies one to deep center field. Taylor back to the warning track at the wall. He can't make the catch. Lagares racing for third as the ball rolls away from Taylor. Lagares scores easily. d'Arnaud in at third with an RBI triple. And the Mets have a 3-1 lead. That ball just kept going and going and going.
Well, another hanger right here. He's been getting d'Arnaud out with the slider. Look at this. Helicopter stayed in. Nicely done. Good effort by Taylor. Just didn't get there in time, and the ball took a funny carom. Oh, off his chin.
So 2 errors by Desmond have led to 3 unearned runs for the Mets. Lagares scores from first on the d'Arnaud triple, and the Mets lead 3-1. And the Nats bullpen starts to get active, and the infield will draw in for Wilmer Flores. It's Xavier Cedeno, one of 2 lefties in the Nats bullpen. Kirk Neuenhuis has come out on deck to bat for Cologne.
d'Arnaud was one of those guys who didn't hit well in spring training.
Yep.
Is that it?
I did not mind the way d'Arnaud was swinging in spring.
Infield in for Flores. And Wilmer bloops one on the right side in foul ground. And Zimmerman's there to grab it for a big second out. And now Neuenhuis is announced into the game to pinch hit for Cologne, and we'll see if Matt Williams goes to the left-hander. Remember, the Mets are playing with a short bench, which makes it harder for Terry Collins to switch to a right-hand hitter if they bring the lefty in.
They really have a 3-man bench when you think about it because of the backup catcher Anthony Recker. This Carlos Torres warming up.
So it looks like he'll get the bottom of the 7th. Meanwhile, Matt Williams has not yet made a move. And it looks like Scherzer will stay in to face Neuenhuis.
There's a big at-bat by Wilmer Flores there, but maybe Neuenhuis can pick him up with 2 outs.
Now the infield drops back. d'Arnaud at 3rd and 2 down, and Neuenhuis late on the fastball, 0-1.
It'll be interesting to see if this late in the ball game, I don't know, I think it's too early. Do you flip-flop the lineup and put Neuenhuis in for defense and left?
That's a good question.
We're just kind of feeling our way along here and see how Terry's going to manage this ball club. I mean, you know, he's got a limited bench.
Yeah, it's almost like if you use him, you got to keep him in.
Right. But then, you know, you're reluctant to take your cleanup hitter out.
Precisely.
With a 2-run lead. And 9 more outs to get, and a good stop by Ramos with the chest protector that time. That one saved a run.
Heck of a play right here.
Scherzer really hasn't had his good changeup today, command of it, Ronnie, and I think that's been his issue with the lefties.
2 errors behind him. It's cost him 3 runs today. And he gets new and ice with the slider to end the inning. 8 strikeouts for Scherzer, but the Mets cash another one on the d'Arnaud triple and lead 3-1. Six terrific innings for Bartolo Colon on opening day. Had to work out a first inning trouble. Gave up a home run to Bryce Harper in the 4th. Had some 2-out trouble in the 6th, but he was in firm command most of the day. 8 strikeouts in 6 innings. And he hands off a 3-1 lead to the Mets bullpen, and Carlos Torres the first man out of the pen.
Well, Carlos Torres, who is so valuable to this Mets club last year out of the bullpen, he was the utility reliever. He could do anything for your ball club, and in 73 games pitched 97 innings. Watching him in spring, though, he was overthrowing a bit. It's going to be interesting to watch here in his first game of 2015.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on their most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. By State Farm today, State Farm agent of the game is Pat Cauley of Glendale, New York. Contact Pat at PatCauley.com. And by Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Torres pitched more relief innings than any pitcher in the majors last year. 92 in relief. And remember, he had the one game where he started after he pitched in relief the day before. And he pitched 5 scoreless innings on no day's rest. Time for your Verizon trivia question, our first of the year. The only 5 Mets to hit 2 home runs in an opening day game.
5 Mets. Wow.
I can think of 2 off the top of my head.
I think Straw did one.
This is for the folks at Citi Field today. They'll get this one.
Okay.
Because I have no idea.
Carlos Torres, now 32 years old. Let's see, did they put the initials on the back? I don't believe that Kevin Kierst went with the initials. He's going to go with Torres, 52, right-hander, and Torres, 54, left-hander. Well, which is confusing because Alex Torres was wearing 53 in spring training,
that's right.
And now he's 54.
So confused. Luckily, they throw from opposite sides.
Yes. And Alex eventually will get the padded hat which he didn't have when he worked for the Mets in his brief spring training appearance. Anyway, Ian Desmond will lead off against Torres in the home seventh. Mets with a 3-1 lead, and Desmond takes a fastball for a strike. And Alex Torres on cue is up in the Mets bullpen alongside Buddy Carlisle. Mets made a lot of changes in their bullpen at the end of the spring, as Desmond had a good cut at that one and fouled it back. They acquired Alex Torres. They acquired the other lefty from Washington, Jerry Blevins, in the deal for Matt Dendecker. And because they kept 8 relievers, that saved Buddy Carlisle, who probably would have been the odd man out. And they also kept Sean Gilmartin, the Rule 5 pick.
Well, it's really the injuries that changed the bullpen. The injury to Edge and the left-hander opened up a lot of possibilities for lefties, and then Vic Black, unable to make the call, opened up some room for right-handers, and that put Buddy Carlisle on the roster.
And Vic Black is not that far away from coming back.
With the weakness in his shoulder, Murphy to his right on the backhand, cleanly throws out Desmond, one away.
Well, I think the big issue was that Gilmartin got off to a very slow start and then finished very strongly. Had a good second half of spring training, and they didn't want to give him up, a Rule 5 guy.
Right. You'd have to put him through waivers or send him back if you don't keep him on the big league roster all year.
So the Mets went basically from no one on the left side in the bullpen to 3.
Well, when Edgin went down, nobody was really stepping forward. I mean, you had other guys in camp like Scott Rice, who's trying to resurrect his career. Hop comes up for Flores, and he throws out Ugla, and Torres has retired the first 2.
So, Keith, you're a big proponent of having 2 lefties in the bullpen.
Yes.
With 3, are you happier?
I think 2 is plenty, but with 8, why not have a third?
The thing about the 3 lefties they have is only one is really a situational lefty.
Blevins.
Right. Yeah. The guy who comes in to get Bryce Harper or somebody of his ilk, Freddie Freeman.
Alex Torres has a good changeup. He gets righties out.
I just don't know how you're going to keep 8 guys in the bullpen
active, working.
Yeah, working in a rhythm.
It's interesting. I asked Terry Collins about that before the game today. As Tyler Moore steps in with 2 out, I said, you got 8 men out there, and normally first week of the season you want to get everybody in, just get their feet wet. Yeah. I said, you're playing the Nats, and you really want to try and win these games. These are very important games to start the year against a team you're trying to establish yourself against. I said, so do you try and get everybody's feet wet, or you just go with your best guys? He said, we're going to go with our best guys, but the reason we have 8 is because if we need to pitch Familia or Mejia 3 days in a row in Washington or 3 games in a row, we'll use the other guys in Atlanta.
So you're back up.
Exactly. That way you don't have to pitch them 6 times in 7 days. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think in addition to the fact that the starters outside of Colon might not be ready to go 100 pitches, you also have backup for your primary reliever. Now Torres behind on Moore, 3-1.
And the best way to use Familia and Mejia, you have a lead late.
Reed Johnson is out on deck to pinch hit if Moore can keep the inning alive. But he grounds one right at Flores. 3 ground balls for Torres, 3 outs. Nice job by Carlos Torres. Nats are down 1-2-3. We go to the 8th on opening day. Mets up 3-1. Mets have been extremely successful on opening day and trying to keep the good vibes going. Bartolo Colon doing plenty of that, maxed up against Max Scherzer in his Nationals debut. Bryce Harper put the first point on the board with a long home run, but the Mets taking advantage of Ian Desmond's errors. A 2-run single by Duda, and then a run-scoring triple by Travis d'Arnaud after Desmond's second error, and the Mets have a 3-1 lead. Scherzer stays in for a fourth time around the batting order. Curtis Granderson has walked twice, and he scored the first Met run. Scherzer now up over 90 pitches for the afternoon, and for the moment, the Nats bullpen is quiet. Matt Williams was ready to pinch hit for Scherzer, had his spot come up in that last half inning, but it didn't, so he'll start the eighth. David Wright on deck, then Lucas Duda here in the eighth. And Granderson flies one out to right. Harper has it lined up. One out. One out and nobody out. Let's check downstairs with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, guys, I was talking to Curtis Granderson before the game today just about opening day and what it means to him. And, you know, he loves opening day. It goes back to his days growing up in Chicago. Said that he distinctly remembers looking around the classroom and seeing a lot of his classmates no longer at the school that day. All of them had sick days simultaneously. He was never allowed to go see an opening day live, though both of his parents were actually teachers. But he does remember going back around the seventh inning as David Wright flies out here to right field. But he remembers running back home to watch the Cubs catch those last three innings, watch Harry carry. And what he said to me is, you know, I never remembered whether they won or they lost. It was just a great feeling that baseball was back. It's still a feeling he has today. He was looking on the internet about opening day, read a great quote that said, 51 Mondays out of the year you're dreading, this one Monday you can look forward to. That's how he summed up his thoughts about opening day.
What was it the great columnist Tom Boswell here in Washington said? Time begins on opening day.
Yeah.
Lucas Duda drove in the first two Met runs. He takes a strike.
That's interesting. A lot of people were coming up to me and saying Happy New Year. And I had never heard that as a player, but broadcasters use that with each other because it's a new baseball year.
Nubbed, and that's going to be a base hit for Duda.
Take it.
He didn't mean to against the shift, but that has the effect of a bunt hit. And the Mets have a two-out base runner, and Duda has his second hit. Let's check in with the studio for a game break with Jonas Schwartz. Jonas? Now Michael Kadire with Duda at first and two out. And that's poked the other way. A base hit for Kadire. Duda to second. He'll stop there against the arm of Harper. And so the Mets with a couple of two-out hits. Scherzer has not had the best fortune this afternoon. A nub by Duda and an opposite field poke by Kadire to put two men on.
Well, the Mets in the sixth inning with a two-run six had a two-out rally.
And here comes Matt Williams, and he calls for the lefty to face Murphy. So Scherzer's Nats debut is done. He is not allowed an earned run to this point, but he leaves trailing. So the heterochromic right-hander will take a seat with his blue eye and his brown eye and hope that his team can rally for him. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Scherzer's day done. Mets are up 3-1 in the eighth.
saw his first action in the major leagues with the Houston Astros, claimed off waivers from Washington 2013.
2 out and 2 on, and Daniel Murphy at the plate, and Murph lays off ball 1. Murphy's been up 3 times, flat out all 3. He's also 0 for 3 in his career against Xavier Cedeno.
A lot of sliders, cutters, everything is going to be away from the Murph.
They did not double switch, so Cedeno's in just to get the 1 batter out. They've got a right-hander up in the bullpen now. And a slider in for a strike, 1-1. Max Scherzer didn't allow an earned run, at least not to date. He's responsible for the 2 runners on base. A couple of Ian Desmond errors cost him, but the Mets able to cash in both times with big hits by Duda and d'Arnaud. And that's got Scherzer in a hole. 1-1 from Cedeno, and Murphy tries to lay off, but he went around. 1-2.
You know, looking at that line from Scherzer, Gary, 2 walks. The big one was to Granderson. That changed the game.
But also, you know, you can put a 0 in the earned run column. You still got to get the next guy out.
Yeah.
So. Murphy behind 1-2. Juan Lagares would be next. And Murphy lays off that slider, 2-2.
Yeah. 4 straight. He loves his slider.
Jerry's Familia getting ready to pitch the 8th inning for New York. Two on, 2 out, 2-2 to Murphy. And Murph takes it low. Full count.
Nope. This is what Murph does. And there you go right there. I'm very excited about our first night game, Gary.
That's Jacob deGrom against Jordan Zimmerman. Terrific pitching matchup Wednesday night for game 2 of this series. Once Keith figures out what to do with his off day tomorrow. Duda at second, Kadire at first, gets set to run. 3-2 and 2 down. And Murphy grounds one down to first, and Zimmerman takes it himself. Cedeno gets a big out. Mets will hand it off to Familia for the bottom of the 8th with a 3-1 lead. Capitol, Wrigley Field, all these iconic venues still being upgraded. Drive Around the Majors presented by Cadillac. David Price 1 out away from a shutout as the Tigers beat the Twins 4-0. Tanaka knocked around today as the Blue Jays beat the Yankees 6-1, and Tehran and Henderson Alvarez locked in a nice duel in Miami with the Braves up 2-1 in the 6th. Here, Bartolo Colon, kind of a controversial choice in some quarters to be the opening day starter for the Mets. He couldn't have been much better today.
Boy, to pitch against Scherzer, you know that it's going to be runs at a minimum, and he did a fantastic job. 8 punch-outs for Bartolo Colon, and that big at-bat against Wilson Ramos. 3-1, came back with 2 perfect pitches.
And from the offensive side, Lucas Duda with the 2 strikes gets the RBI base hit to score 2 runs, and also d'Arnaud with a triple. RBI triple.
No earned runs allowed by Max Scherzer, but 2 errors by Ian Desmond setting the stage, and now the Mets with 6 outs to get will hand it off to Familia for the 8th. And the former Met, Matt Dendecker, will pinch hit. He was Met until a week ago. Now facing his former mates and takes a fastball strike from Familia. Dendecker dealt to the Nats in the deal that brought the Mets Jerry Blevins, who will be the Mets left-handed specialist. And the corners are in against Dendecker. I haven't seen him bunt much for hits, but he's certainly got the speed to do it.
Well, I was talking to you in between innings. I was wondering whether Dendecker would try to bunt because of he was with the Mets. He knows the history of Familia's struggles throwing the ball around the bases.
Dendecker's only big league home run came in this ballpark against the Nats. And now he calls this park home.
Familia did not have a good spring. There was a lot of concern early. His velocity was down. Pitched a little better towards the end.
They were trying to revamp him, having him pitch more 4-seamers up in the zone, and then they scrapped that play.
That was a bad idea.
It's like leave it alone.
That's a nasty 97-mile-an-hour fastball on the corner.
That plays.
Yeah.
It's like leave it alone.
Yeah, nice
sinking
sink.
action.
Oh. Why mess that up? Familia now 25 years old. 76 games last year for the Mets, a franchise rookie record. 2-2 to Dendecker, and just got a piece of that, and that caught the home plate umpire Tim Welke.
Asks if he's all right. He shakes it off. Yeah, I'm cool.
Tough guy. Answer your Verizon trivia question. 5 Mets at 2 home runs opening day. Carter did it right. Bonilla did it. I guess Carter didn't do it.
Strawberry McReynolds. Cleon. Huh. Cleon could hit.
He's another guy who stood very far from the plate.
Cleon Jones?
Yeah. We'll have a little trouble with the slider away sometimes.
I like those right-hand hitters, those right-hand third hitters. They're hard to come by.
With 340 in 1969.
Yes, he did.
2-2 coming, and Dendecker just got a piece of that one. So Dendecker wasting away a couple of tough ones. Final in Philadelphia as Jerry Blevins gets up. The Red Sox shut out the Phillies 8-0 behind Clay Buchholz, and the Red Sox hit 5 home runs, including 2 for Pedroia and 2 for Hanley Ramirez.
Oh.
Yeah, they drove in 5. Cole Hamels gave up 4 of those 5 home runs. The perhaps future Red Sox lefty.
Yeah, right. Well, the thing is, if they had traded for him in the winter, he would have started the first game for the Red Sox against Philadelphia.
Well, the very fact that Boston and Philadelphia are opening against each other, I mean,
I hear you.
In fact, the Nats are going to go and be Boston's home opener. Strike 3 call. Familia picks off the inside corner to get Dendecker for the first out.
Good pitch. Got it inside. Tied him up.
Nice framing by d'Arnaud too on that wicked sinker.
By the way, Buchholz 7 innings, 3 hits, 9 strikeouts.
I was looking at the 100th anniversary of the 1915 Red Sox when they went to play the Philadelphia Athletics.
There's Michael Taylor up for the 4th time, 1 for 3 on the day, and he takes a slider for a strike. Well, Familia looks a lot more like the 2014 version rather than the spring training version, but you can say that about Carlos Torres too. So the bell has rung, and that bullpen looking much more like last year's vintage, when it went from being a liability opening day to being a huge asset through most of the season.
Interesting you mentioned Blevins was up in the bullpen. He's out there for one reason. Familia gets into any kind of trouble, he will face Harper.
He's due up 4th in the inning, Harper is, with Escobar on deck. 1-1 to Michael Taylor. Another nasty sinker by Familia. 1-2.
It has the movement sometimes of a split finger. That's how much movement that sinker has.
I mean, that's 96 miles an hour with that kind of downward break.
Filthy, as the players say today.
Now the 1-2. Got him swinging with a slider. Back-to-back strikeouts for Familia. 2 down.
Don't have to throw a strike when you're heading the count, Ronnie, with that kind of electric stuff.
He's got you feeling so intimidated inside with that sinker that you're trying to get the head out, and that produces that swing at a slider.
Oh, wait, 90 miles an hour on that slider.
You can hit it, Gare.
I'm not familiar with the kind of game Familia presents sometimes.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Escobar, who's 0 for 3 today, reached on there, grounded out, and lined that bullet that Duda almost had to shy away from.
That's a sinker.
Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night, Chris Carlin will be in the chair. All the opening day action, and mentioned you, Keith. Said you look rested.
Why do you have to single me out?
That'll change.
I don't know.
Hit hard but right at Flores, and Familia has himself a 1-2-3 bottom of the 8th. Couple of strikeouts and a ground ball. That sends us off to the 9th on opening day with the Mets up 3-1. Run leaders with Lucas Duda in the 3-hole. Presented by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Enter promo code NYM for free entry and claim your share of $300 million this MLB season. Aaron Barrett is on to pitch for the Nats in the top of the 9th.
Known in the Nats clubhouse as the Bear. Had an outstanding season last year. 49 punch-outs in 40 innings.
Juan Lagares up for the 4th time. Struck out twice, then reached on a throwing error by Ian Desmond. A ball that Lagares hit very hard to Desmond's backhand. He made a nice pick and then spiked the throw to first. And Lagares fouls off the fastball. And that opened the door for the 3rd Met run. Darno followed with a long triple to left center. Mets have had just 4 hits today, but 2 of them have come after Desmond errors to produce all 3 Met runs. Check swing, and it's a strike. 0-2. 0-2 from Barrett. Tap to the right side. And Uggla makes the play, 1 out. Let's check in with the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason Post-Game Live. Check in with Gary Apple, Nelson Figueroa, and Jim Duquette. Guys?
Barrett. Good slider.
You talk about rookies on opening day. It's a big opening day for Nelson Figueroa in his Major League studio analyst debut. Travis d'Arnaud fouls one off. Henry Mejia getting ready for the 9th inning.
Henry got the haircut.
A little different look now for Mr. Mejia. He had the full thing going on during spring training.
What was the thing?
I can't really explain. Line to right center, and d'Arnaud has his 2nd hit of the day.
Nice to see.
So Travis, who went to left center for his triple, takes one to right center for this base hit.
Well, Travis is a line drive hitter. He's got to use gap to gap. That's a beautiful swing right there, staying level. That's what he needs to do. The home runs he hit last year. He hit 13, I believe.
13.
And they were all like hanging sliders at the ball. He got the barrel out and he hit him a ton to pull him down the line. He's a gap-to-gap hitter.
There's Flores with 1 out and 1 on. Wilmer 0 for 3. And he takes a fastball for a strike. John Mayberry about to make his Mets debut on deck to pinch hit. He had a great spring. Mayberry was brought here mostly to face lefties, but he did a good job in spring against righties. It'll be interesting to see whether he can keep that going. He'll be facing a righty here.
I don't think he's going to get much of an opportunity. Not with Neuenhuis. You got if it's a right-hander and you want to give someone a rest, it's going to be Neuenhuis.
But as far as pinch hitting opportunities with a 4-man bench, he's your next option.
I guess no question.
No matter who's on.
So limited. Really, it's a 3-man bench because you can't use Recker. He's a catcher.
0-2 coming, and Flores down on 3 pitches. Barrett gets him with a slider for the 2nd out.
Chased a high slider.
What's interesting about batting Mayberry here, I mean, a natural selection, but, you know, not facing a lot of left-handed pitchers early here. Mayberry might not get a lot of at-bats, so you're trying to get him in there as many times as you can to keep him hot.
So Mayberry, who finished up in Toronto last year after playing 5.5 years with the Phillies, now 31 years old. Dad, of course, was a great left-handed big league slugger.
On those Kansas City Royal teams that lost out to the Yankees, was when Whitey Herzog was managing those Royals.
d'Arnaud at first and 2 out. Mayberry lays off the slider, 1-1.
Dick Hauser also was manager of the Royals.
That's right. That's right. I think the year that Chambliss hit the home run off Littell that won it, I think it was Whitey's year that year. I think he was managing.
1976. 2-1 to Mayberry. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th, 3, 4, and 5 in the order coming up for the Nats. Harper, Zimmerman, and Ramos. Two and 2 to Mayberry. Makes you wonder, with Harper leading off in the bottom of the 9th, would you even consider bringing Blevins in to face him? Or would you be more likely to do that in a 1-run game?
I think a 1-run game, I think you would have think about it, because try to keep Harper in the ballpark. But with 2 runs, a little room, 2-run lead, a little room for Mejia to work with.
Ron, do you feel that it would be peculiar for Mejia not starting an inning? Because he usually comes in and gets 1, 2, 3, and coming in and getting 2/3. Would that be throw him out of sync, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, the Mets would like to have at least one more run here, and it'd be the perfect situation. But the starting inning is always better for Henry.
Zimmerman moving behind d'Arnaud, who will be running with 3 and 2 and 2 out. Granderson would be next. 3-2 coming, and Mayberry stays alive. They've got the lefty up in the bullpen. That's Matt Thornton. He would face Granderson, presumably, if Mayberry keeps the inning going. There's Thornton, who did a terrific job after coming over last year.
Gave up nothing, didn't he? Thrown 96, 97 miles an hour for the veteran left-hander.
Again, the 3-2. And Mayberry again fouls it off. John's best year with the Phillies came in 2011. Hit .273 that year with 15 home runs. Had a slugging percentage over .500 that year. But never was able to duplicate that, and eventually the Phillies dealt him away to Toronto last summer. Here's ball 4, and Mayberry's on with a walk, so the inning continues. And we'll see. Yeah, Matt Williams is coming up the dugout steps, and he'll bring in Thornton to face Granderson. So the Mets trying to add to their 3-1 lead in the 9th. 2 out and 2 on, and Granderson coming up. And Barrett will exit, and Thornton will come on. Pitching change in Washington. We'll be right back. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. And by the New York Lottery, play Cash for Life from the New York Lottery with a top prize of $1,000 every day for life. 38 years old, still hard throwing. Matt Thornton on to pitch.
18 appearances for the Nationals last year after being claimed off waivers. Did not give up a run.
Granderson faces him with 2 out and 2 on. Granderson just 4 for 24 in his career against this veteran lefty who spent most of his career with the White Sox. Yankees let him go on waivers last year. Wasn't really clear why, because he pitched pretty well in the Bronx. Even better, though, when he got to Washington. And now he's behind on Granderson, 2-0. Curtis has already walked twice today and scored a run. He's 0 for 2.
This is, Gary, sorry, this is when I always felt left-handers in trouble, 2-0. Their bread and butter is a fastball away. You just sit out there. All he needs is a base hit.
Pretty much all he throws is fastballs.
Yeah.
There's nobody up in the bullpen, so if Granderson gets aboard, Thornton would face David Wright. Garneau at second. He singled. Mayberry at first. He walked as a pinch hitter. 2-1 to Granderson, and he hits it hard. Ugly, though, snags the one hopper, and that retires the side. Granderson hit a bullet. Uggla up to the task. Mejia for the bottom of the ninth. 3-1 New York. The Mets, and it's not just because Bryce Harper leads off. Henry Mejia was warming up in the bullpen, and Mejia ran from the bullpen into the Mets dugout just a moment ago.
As Blevins ran to the mound, Mejia ran into the dugout, got Ray Ramirez, and they went down into the clubhouse.
And Buddy Carlisle has gotten up in the Mets bullpen, so Blevins is brought in to face Harper, and then it may well be Carlisle to try and close on opening day. And you see Alex Torres, the lefty, up alongside Carlisle.
8 might have turned into 7 all of a sudden.
Wow. Well, we're told now that apparently before the game, Mejia was complaining of a little elbow soreness, went out there, tried to loosen up, and clearly it did not loosen up. And so the Mets are going to go without their closer for the 9th inning on opening day. Shades of last year. Here's Blevins against Harper, his former teammate. And Harper trying to bunt his way on. Well, it's a 2-run game, so Harper's got to get on any way he can.
If Mejia complained of a sore elbow a couple days ago or yesterday, then there's your reasoning for the 8, just as an insurance policy.
But if you weren't sure that Mejia was available for the 9th, why wouldn't you have held Familia out for the 9th rather than go the route that they took?
Gary, you stumped me again.
I think they just assumed Mejia had a little soreness, he'd work it out, and it didn't happen.
Yep. So they're going to have to patch together tonight. Remember last year on opening day, Bobby Parnell was the Mets closer, and he blew out his elbow on opening day and had Tommy John surgery. And that didn't pitch again, and Mets hope to have him back in a few weeks. 0-2 to Harper, leading off in the last of the 9th. And the breaking ball drilled to right. Granderson going back. Gets there to make the catch. Harper hit it hard on a hanging breaking ball. And that's the first out.
Just hung it inside enough to get near the label of the bat. Just enough.
So Blevins gets his man. And now Terry Collins will take him out and bring in Buddy Carlisle to try and save this game. So Carlisle, who was a last-minute choice to make this team, tries to get a save on opening day. We'll be right back. 7-year-old Buddy Carlisle will bid for his first ever Major League save.
I wasn't sure he was going to make the team. Made it at the last minute. You saw his work last year. Impeccable with that low ERA. But has to have some butterflies right now.
They'll come in with 1 out and nobody on in the bottom of the ninth. The Mets up 3-1. Ryan Zimmerman, the last man to reach for the Nats, drew a walk with 2 out in the 6th against Bartolo Colon, and he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike.
Well, you know one thing about Buddy, he will throw strikes and go after hitters.
He was a revelation last year, by far the best he's ever been in the major leagues, pitching in 27 games for the Mets and pitching to a 1.45 ERA. Zimmerman flies one foul down the line. And that'll go out of play. 0-2.
It's almost like he was reborn in a way, Gary and Keith, that early in his career, when I watched Buddy Carlisle pitch, he tried to throw all 4 pitches for a strike. He nibbled around the corners. And I don't know what happened, but when he came from Vegas and those games in Philly, he just said he's going to be uber aggressive, and has changed entirely how successful he's been.
He had big league time with the Padres and the Dodgers and the Braves and the Yankees. Never had much success, but he sure did last year. 0-2 to Zimmerman. It's too high. Wilson Ramos, the on-deck batter. Mets 3 runs and 5 hits. The Nats 1 run and only 3 hits. So far the bullpen has been perfect. 6 up and 6 down. Torres, Familia, and Blevins. Rafael Montero now up in the Mets bullpen. Bouncing ball. Flores to his left. 2 out. So Carlisle gets his man, and now the Nats are down to their final out of the day. And Buddy Carlisle's 1 out away from his first major league save.
A 2-run lead, no walks. That would be a cardinal sin.
Last year in 31 innings, Carlisle walked 5.
He goes after guys.
You don't want Desmond coming up, because he's going to try to make up for a lot of mistakes he made today.
2 errors leading to all 3 Met runs. Ramos is 0 for 3, 2 ground outs and a strikeout. And he takes it off the corner for ball 1. Well, it's not exactly the way the Mets drew it up, but they've got a chance to enhance the best opening day record in baseball. Down to third, a foul ball. Just foul. Right. Makes the perfect throw off balance. It's quite a throw.
Quite a play.
But it was a foul ball. Third base umpire Todd Titchener with the call.
Tough hop.
.37-year-old Buddy Carlisle trying to finish it off on opening day. 1-1 to Wilson Ramos. 1-2. Ramos has been a Mets killer many times before. Trying to get Desmond to the plate as the tying run. Carlisle ahead 1-2. A little bit low. 2-2. Ian Desmond looming on deck. 5 Met pitchers have combined to retire the last 9 Nats batters. 2-2. Hit to short. Flores on the backhand. And the ball game is over. Buddy Carlisle gets the final 2 outs for his first major league save at age 37. And the best opening day team in baseball history puts another notch in their belt as the Mets take advantage of a couple of errors, get great pitching from Bartolo Colon in the bullpen, and beat the Nats 3-1.
Well, Colon outpitches Scherzer on opening day. 2 errors by Ian Desmond set it all up, but the Mets used 5 today. Really, 5 pitchers with Colon, Torres, Familia, Blevins for the first out in the 9th, and Carlisle for his first save in the major league.
And Lucas Duda did not have a great spring. Remember, started out with a little bit of an oblique issue, fell behind in spring training, got a big 2-out single in that 2-run 6th inning, 2 RBI single too, by the way. And then the triple by Darno, who also had 2 hits, who did not have a good spring. So what do you say about spring? It doesn't count there? We're in April. This is where it counts.
Now there's your StubHub game summary. Bartolo Colon was terrific for 6. Max Scherzer didn't allow a hit for the first 5, but the Mets found a way with 3 unearned runs thanks to 2 Ian Desmond errors, and they win on opening day here in D.C. 3-1. For every Mets win, the Mets Foundation is proud to contribute $2,500 to the Cats Women's Hospital and the Cats Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit NorthshoreLIJ.com/KIWH. This win brings the contribution so far this season to $2,500.